Hello, my name is Nicole Rujan Robert, and I'm a student at USF. I'm here to bring you an online resource and youth suicide prevention video that was made in collaboration between the University of South Florida and Ian's Way. Before we get into the data, here's a breakdown of our content. The first section will be about current statistics and risk factors for youth suicide. The section after that will go over protective factors that can combat risk factors. After that, we will go over the warning signs of suicide and some important recommendations for suicide prevention. Then, we will cut away for an animated scenario about how teens may show suicidal symptoms. After that, we will go over some future goals for parents and teens and what you can do for your child, yourself, or your peer if they're suicidal. The slide after those will go over what you can do as a citizen to prevent teen suicides. Those last slides will go over national and local resources, including multilingual resources. And lastly, we will go over why teens in Florida are uniquely at risk for suicide, including a breakdown of protective and risk factors. And we will also go over unique school and crisis care resources available to Florida teens who may be suicidal. So what causes youth suicide? Suicide is a complex problem that often has more than one root cause. The unique factors that can lead someone to commit or attempt suicide can vary between individuals that experience it. As shown here, factors such as age, bullying, social support, and parental support can all play a role in the development of suicidal feelings. Teenagers go through hormonal changes that can also impact their mood. Meanwhile, school pressures and varying forms of bullying can compound with these feelings. Now, let's look at the statistics. According to the 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 22% of high school students seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, and 10% had attempted suicide. Suicide is among the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States, resulting in about one death every 11 minutes. Additionally, suicide attempts result in an even larger number of self-harm injuries. Suicide is a problem throughout the lifespan, and in the US, it is the second leading cause of death for people 10 to 34 years of age. Many things can raise the risk of a teen or child developing suicidal thoughts or attempting suicide. First, unrestricted or overactive internet or social media use has been shown to raise suicidality risk in teens and children. Second, family income. This factor can impact which resources are available for a teen, medically, academically, and socially. Third, education and school resources. These can affect educational attainment, and poor educational attainment has also been shown to be a risk factor for suicide in teens. Fourth, one's reputation can also impact one's risk of developing suicidal thoughts or feelings. Experiencing bullying, harassment, or even high expectations that feel unreachable can negatively affect youth's mental health. Fifth, factors like race and experiencing the effects of racism can lead to overall worsened mental health. Sixth, gender is another well-established risk factor for suicidal feelings and attempts. While girls are more likely to have suicidal thoughts, boys are more likely to attempt or commit suicide. Seventh, sexuality has been shown to be an influential factor in the development of suicidal feelings. Members of the LGBT can develop higher risk of suicidal ideation than their peers. Eighth, genetics and/or a parental history of mental illness can raise the risk of a child or teen developing suicidal thoughts or feelings. So why is social media listed first? Why is it so risky to overuse? Well, 4 factors stand out. Number 1, contagion or spread. While many believe suicide to be an individual's choice, suicide actually behaves a lot more like an infectious disease, including its spread. Loved ones of a suicidal individual have higher risks of suicide, and TV shows or movies can increase incidences of suicide, such as with the show 13 Reasons Why. Number 2, normalization or glamorization. Similarly to social spreading, normalization or glamorization can send the message that suicide is not a negative or harmful action, and this has led to an increase in suicide incidents as well. Number 3, cyberbullying. Online bullying and hateful memes have been shown to impact individuals' mental health and has been established as a contributing factor in many teen suicides. And lastly, number 4, peer pressure. Any form of overwhelming response from other users online have been shown to impact an individual's perceptions of themselves and their actions. Online peer pressure has been linked to many suicide deaths and has even been charged as a criminal offense in many of these cases. We will go over some protective factors for teen suicide that can combat the aforementioned risk factors. First, a strong family dynamic can help teens and children form healthy role models for emotional regulation and behaviors. Second, cultural factors can shape how youth perceive mental health and suicide discussions. Third, having accessible mental health care can help prevent youth from developing severe symptoms like suicidal ideation. Early and consistent screenings can reduce the chances of a teen remaining unidentified until it's too late. Lastly, feeling socially supported has been shown to reduce suicidal symptoms in teens. All of these factors can help prevent suicidal feelings from developing into a crisis. Now let's move on to some of the warning signs for youth suicide. First, suicide notes. These can be digital or on paper. They may be hidden as well. However, many teens do not leave a note. Second is threats. Some phrases may be considered suicide threats, including direct threats like "I want to die," or indirect threats like "the world would be better off without me." Third, previous attempts. Sometimes the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, and suicidal ideation can persist after a first attempt. Fourth, depression. When symptoms of depression include pervasive thoughts of helplessness or hopelessness, a child or teen is conceivably at greater risk for suicide. Fifth, mass depression. Risk-taking behaviors can include acts of aggression, gunplay, or substance abuse. Sixth, final arrangements. In teens, this can include giving away prized possessions such as jewelry, clothing, journals, or pictures. Seventh, death and suicidal themes. Suicidal teens and children can feel drawn to death imagery of different kinds. These can appear in classroom drawings, work samples, journals, or even homework. Eighth, an inability to concentrate or think rationally. This warning sign can often be caught by teachers and school staff, and it can involve classroom behavior, homework habits, academic performance, household chores, or even conversations. Ninth, sudden changes in personality, friends, or behaviors. Some changes include withdrawing from normal relationships, increased absenteeism in school, loss of involvement in regular interests or activities, and social withdrawal and isolation. The next one is efforts to hurt oneself. Self-mutilating behaviors can occur among children as young as elementary school, and common behaviors include running into traffic, jumping from heights, and scratching, cutting, or marking the body. The next one is plan, method, and access. Suicidal children and teens don't always act on impulse. Sometimes they may have a suicide plan, and increased access to weapons, guns, pills, or other lethal means can increase the risk of suicide. The last factor is changes in physical habits and appearance. Changes include inability to sleep or sleeping all the time, sudden weight gain or loss, disinterest in appearance, hygiene. Now we'll get into some recommendations from the APA for teens and parents to prevent and manage suicidal feelings. First, listen to their feelings and needs. Many teens may express feelings indirectly, making it important to pay close attention. Second, maintain a close and healthy connection. The support of family and friends can help teens and children share their feelings and stressors early. Third, be compassionate and avoid judgmental statements. Placing blame can exacerbate feelings of distress. Rather than see suicide as a fault of character, understand that it is a medical concern and that individuals can recover from it. 4. Trust your judgment. Early warning signs and changes can be subtle. Pay close attention and know that it's always better safe than sorry when it comes to suicide. Fifth, prioritize everyone's safety. Means for suicide can sometimes be a danger to others around the sufferer. Guns, blades, for example, can escalate a suicidal attempt into a deadly situation for others. Make sure to always keep lethal means out of reach and out of sight of children and teens. 6. Find professional medical help. Suicidal feelings do not go away on their own. If a teen or child is struggling with suicidal feelings, these feelings will often persist. Only medical professionals are trained to manage suicidal feelings and work to reduce them. Now let's cut away for some scenarios about how teens may present suicide symptoms.
Thanks for having me. I'm a medical professional, and in the following minutes I will show you a scenario where 3 teens and their parents are interacting in ways that may cause some concern. Their parents seem to be struggling to really talk with their kids about what may be bothering them, while the teens seem to be struggling to keep up with their daily responsibilities. Situations like these can cause great stress for both teens and parents, so I will explain a bit more about what could be going on after each scene. It's also important to keep in mind that we never know what someone is thinking or feeling. People can exhibit similar signs for different reasons, or may even respond to a similar situation in dramatically different ways. Mental health is a subjective experience for every person out there.
Tom, your mom needs you to take out the trash and do your homework.
I'll do it later. I just need to relax.
It's important to do your homework. Games can always come after.
All my friends are on this game. I really want to talk with them.
If you keep going like this, we will take your game away.
You don't understand. I can't do this later. Marissa and Jacob are the only ones who listen to me.
Your mom and I try. You don't open up to us.
You both only talk to me about chores in school. I can't handle this anymore.
That's not fair. We don't get to hear much about school or your friends from you.
That's because there's nothing to tell. I go to class. I deal with teachers and classmates. That's all.
Please, Tom, tell me what's going on. Are you okay? Are you being bullied?
Never mind. I'm going to take the trash out.
Teenagers and children with depression have been well established as suffering from symptoms like irritability, fluctuation in academic and work performance, struggling to maintain chores, or even personal hygiene. Tom here is showing some symptoms that could show a risk of depression. Tom's dad and he seem to struggle to connect lately. Would you have acted differently in this situation? What are some phrases or behaviors that stood out to you in this context? Before we move on, it's important to remember to address problems early. If you or someone you know is showing symptoms of struggling, reach out and remind them that help is available. Doctors like myself can help you or your loved one manage your daily life healthily. Treatment options vary by individual, making it important to be upfront about what we need more help with. Tom here could speak to his doctor about how he feels in school or even at home, and assess how Tom can receive help to feel like he can manage his daily responsibilities.
Hi, Mom. How was work? Is there food made?
Marissa, please. I'm working on something. Order a pizza. Sorry. Sorry, I have this huge deadline. I swear in a week I'll make us a nice dinner, okay?
Sure, Mom. Can I tell you what Tom said today over text? It was so funny.
Marissa, I said I'm busy. Why don't you log on and play with your friends a bit before the pizza gets here?
Yeah, okay.
Marissa, the pizza's here. Are you ready to eat?
Not right now. I'll eat later. Tom, Jacob, and I are catching up a bit.
Marissa, you've lost weight again. Are you eating well? Is something going on?
Not right now. I'll eat later. Tom, Jacob, and I are catching up a bit. I feel like you never really spend time at home anymore. Maybe you just forgot how it looked at the store.
Marissa, I'm sorry. I really am trying. But this dress looked different. Maybe we should see Dr. Smith.
Individuals who suffer from suicidal thoughts or feelings may show physical symptoms in addition to their mental symptoms. Changes in weight, appearance, clothing, hair, or dental hygiene may highlight a problem. Other signs like wearing longer sleeves, avoiding touch, and/or wearing notably more bracelets may be signs a child or teen is self-harming. While self-harming is a stigmatized and dangerous behavior, it is important to note that not everyone who self-harms is suicidal and that not everyone who is suicidal self-harms. In Marissa's case, she seems to be losing weight noticeably and seems to respond in an internalizing manner. Even if she doesn't seem irritable or hopeless, she still shows concerning signs of a high risk for suicidal feelings or actions.
Jacob, why are you wasting your time on this game again? You have a test in a month, and you need to get an A.
Dad, I swear I just finished studying and took a short break. I'll go back after this game.
Just wait until you get a job. Then homework will feel like a break.
I really need to relax. I've read so much I can't think straight. Dad, I feel like there's just too much pressure and I can't keep up.
Pressure is how diamonds are made, Jacob. We just want what's best for you.
Tom and Marissa keep telling me I sound too stressed and they feel like I take it out on them. I just need a breather. I don't mean to be a bother for you or them.
Jacob, you're being ridiculous. No one thinks you're a bother. Put your mind to more productive use.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It just feels like I stress you out more than your job sometimes.
That's just not true. I stress about you because I love you. Jacob, I want you to succeed in ways I wasn't able to. You can do better.
Yeah, okay.
As parents, it's only natural and healthy for us to want our youth to succeed and become meaningful individuals to those around them. However, if the expectations seem unattainable by children and teens, then these can become a mental burden and even a risk factor for suicide. Evidence shows that children in these environments may feel immense pressure to succeed in meeting these expectations, or may feel like they have failed those around them for not meeting these expectations. Jacob seems to struggle with this dynamic. He has become irritable with his parent, especially when the pressures and burdens he feels associated with these expectations held for him are brought up in the conversation. Jacob's dad should reassure him that these expectations are not conditions for love, respect, or autonomy. Instead, these should be seen as goals to aspire to in some way.
Dude, school sucks. My classmates are jerks, and my teachers really get to me.
That sucks, Marissa.
I don't want to hear it, Marissa. I'm failing Algebra 1 again, and my dad won't let it go.
Tom, at least hear her out a bit.
It's just so unfair I failed one test. Oh man, and today Mr. Johnson embarrassed me in front of Sarah.
I mean, since you want to discuss it, did you study?
No, but he didn't have to make a point out of it by asking if I wanted some extra practice.
He's just doing his job. Maybe if you didn't spend all night waiting for a game to download instead of studying, you would have passed.
You know she's right. You did wake up late for that midterm. My dad would have never let me live that down.
Must be nice to have expectations to live up to. My mom barely notices my life. Somehow, your dad's pressure seems nice.
Come on, Marissa. You get to have pizza for dinner and stay up if you want. Seems sweet to me.
Yeah, I guess I should be glad.
Jacob, Tom, and Marissa are all online friends who met through a video game. They get along well, yet, because of the way they feel and struggle, their language can seem a bit mean-spirited. While this situation we just saw isn't the healthiest exchange, it is common for individuals who are struggling with regulating their emotions to come across in this way. Their parents should check up on them often so that they can spot any potential harm coming from these interactions. Often teens who are struggling may find each other in real life or in online spaces. It's important to foster healthy connections in our youth, while monitoring these for any signs of cyberbullying, peer pressure, or the normalization of negative behaviors. Now let's get back to learning about the research and recommendations for managing these situations.
Let's see what the 12 future goals for teens and parents are to prevent youth suicide. First, if you see signs that your child's mental health is under threat, tune in. Second, listen, even when your child is not talking. Nonverbal communication is just as important as verbal signs. Third, realize that your child may be facing suicide risks that you haven't considered yet. 4. Do not dismiss what you're seeing as teenage drama. 5. Respond with empathy and understanding. 6. Get help right away and set up a safety plan. 7. Remove or secure guns if you have them at home, and do the same with any other lethal means in the house. 8. As your child enters treatment, focus on creating a hopeful environment. 9th, encourage them to see family and friends and keep an eye on social media. 10th, encourage sleep and exercise. 11, encourage balance, moderation, and self-care. And then 12, remind each other that this process will take time. In this slide, we can see the essential components of a safety plan. Work to identify triggers, personal coping strategies, and interpersonal or social coping strategies that can help de-escalate a situation like a suicide crisis. If things keep escalating, contact a professional and secure the environment of any lethal means. Now, as a parent, you may be wondering what you can do for your child if they feel suicidal. First, you should talk to your child. Having a conversation about their feelings doesn't have to wait until a crisis. And as a parent, you should ask about what goes on in their lives and how they feel in response. That way you can spot signs of suicidality as early as possible. Number 2, talk to your healthcare providers. Doctors and counselors and pediatricians can help provide resources and evaluations for your child's mental health. Make sure to update them on any changes in mood, behavior, or appearance that may seem concerning. Number 3, set up a treatment plan that addresses multiple factors. Feelings of suicide are a medically serious problem. After talking to providers, set up a plan for treatment that encompasses individual care, school accommodations, and a home safety plan. Number 4, find specialized or acute care. If your child seems to not be responding to accommodations and treatments, or seems to be an immediate danger to themselves, find the crisis care unit near you. These centers can offer a safe and supervised environment for your child to recover. So if you're a teen who's suicidal, what can you do for yourself? Number 1, gather your thoughts. Sorting out the feelings that surround suicide can be a challenging task. Take time to think about what seems to be contributing to these feelings and see if anyone in your support group can help. Number 2, ground yourself or calm your system. When feelings become overwhelming, doing things like meditating, taking a walk, or taking time to do some breathing exercises can help de-stress you enough to talk about your feelings. Number 3, reach out to loved ones and professionals. Once you've sorted out your feelings and taken time to de-stress from these factors, reach out to your parents, a teacher, or a doctor for help. Doctors can help you confidentially get support at your school, your job, or extracurriculars. And number 4, recognize that you do need help. Once a parent or a doctor has heard about your feelings, they may suggest going to a specialist or a clinic. It's important to recognize that they have your best interest in mind and they want you to recover in a safe environment. Remember, recovery from suicidal feelings is always possible, and suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. In this slide, we can see some of the healthy coping skills that have been scientifically demonstrated to help symptoms of suicidality in teens. Number 1, mindfulness and meditation, which has been shown to regulate negative emotions and thoughts. Number 2, deep breathing. Calm and deep breaths can help your nervous system calm down enough to gather your thoughts. Number 3, walk outside and get sunlight. A few minutes of exercise and sunlight a day can help provide teens with the foundation to emotional well-being. Number 4, sleep a regular schedule. A lack of sleep has been demonstrated to worsen suicidal symptoms and depression symptoms. Make sure you always aim for around 8 hours of sleep during the night. Number 5, eat a healthy diet. Some diets and nutritional deficiencies can worsen mood irregularities and fatigue symptoms. If you feel suicidal or depressed, make sure you eat a healthy diet so that your body can help you combat those feelings. So, what can you do for a peer if they're suicidal? First, offer steadfast support. If someone you know seems to be struggling, talk with them about what you notice. Next, Ask questions. When talking with your loved one, ask questions in a respectful and sympathetic manner. Avoid harsh or critical comments and listen closely to what your loved one says. Third, know when it's time to act. If your peer seems to be in a crisis, be prepared to act and connect them to a trusted adult or professional. Talk with their parents or with a teacher and explain what you have noticed. An adult can take action before it's too late. Last, ensure that they see a therapist or seek immediate help. When you reach out to an adult, emphasize the severity and the importance of the problem. Sometimes, if someone is struggling, the best way to help is to guide them towards a professional. You may be wondering what you can do for your community to prevent youth suicides. Here are some things you could do. First, find local organizations to support. Charities and other organizations are essential in connecting people to needed help and resources. Number 2, talk to your government representatives. You can bring up important issues to prevent youth suicides, such as creating barriers to lethal means or expanding mental health resources for schools. Number 3, donate to or volunteer for youth mental health organizations. Financial barriers are huge obstacles for many charities and organizations. Even small donations can help make a huge impact for teens that are in need of services. 4, become a social or political advocate for health reforms. Political advocacy is an important component of community change. Be the change that you want to see. In this slide, we'll go over some national resources available if you're seeking help for yourself or someone that you know. First, the National Institute of Mental Health, where you can learn about suicide prevention, including helpline numbers, warning signs, risk factors, treatments, and therapies. Next, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC funds suicide prevention activities across the U.S. You can view suicide prevention toolkits, planning resources, prevention assessment tools, and more. The third resource is the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is the leading suicide prevention and crisis intervention nonprofit organization for LGBT+ young people. They provide information and support to LGBT youth 24/7 all year round. Fourth, the Jed Foundation, which is a nonprofit that protects emotional health and prevents suicide for our nation's teens and young adults, giving them the skills and support that they need to thrive. The fifth resource is the 988 Lifeline, where you have access to free, quality, one-on-one assistance. Their skilled, judgment-free counselors are there to provide compassionate support to anyone who needs it. Next, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. This organization has many web pages designed for parents, teachers, and other school personnel, which highlight the role that adults can play in intervening with children and youth at a risk of suicide. Last, the American Association of Suicidology. This organization provides comprehensive resources to help navigate your journey with suicide and mental health. In this slide, you can see even more resources that can offer information and help someone who may be suicidal. In this section, we'll discuss some protective and risk factors for suicide that are unique to Florida youth. First, to list some of the unique protective factors for Florida teens, these can include strong cultural values, strong sense of community, and access to green spaces, academic opportunities, cultural diversity, and social and financial resources. However, some of the unique risk factors for Florida teens include a lack of accessibility to needed mental health care, transportation barriers for rural communities, lack of funding for behavioral health care, social stigma against mental health, a largely privatized mental health care network, and access and healthcare disparities. So why are teens in South Florida vulnerable to suicide? First, rural status. It has been established that rural communities often face added barriers when it comes to accessing needed youth crisis care. Second, funding barriers. Concerningly, Florida has noticeably low medical funding for youth behavioral services compared to other states. Third, migrant community status. Often, these communities lack access to medical care and face disenfranchisement. Suicidal teens in these communities may be unable to receive needed mental health care. Fourth, firearm regulations. Firearms make up the most common means for suicide in Florida, making gun safety an important topic for the safety of youth who may experience suicidal feelings. Fifth, an unawareness of the problem. A lack of awareness of suicidality warning signs, symptoms, and resources can negatively impact Florida teens and their mental health. 6. Community beliefs. Family and community culture have an enormous impact on youth mental health. 7th, gun violence trends. Experiencing gun violence and surviving gun violence have been shown to increase suicidal symptoms and symptoms of PTSD. And lastly, stigma. The idea that discussing mental health is taboo or negative has led to many youth feeling unable to share their feelings until it's too late. In this slide, we'll go over some unique school resources and programs that can help Florida youth. First, Suicide Prevention Certified Schools. These schools have a set of requirements and trainings that are set up to prepare staff to identify, manage, and refer students who need help for suicidal feelings. Second, the Youth Suicide Prevention School-Based Guide. The guide is not a program, but a tool that provides a framework for schools to assess their existing or proposed suicide prevention efforts. And last, the Florida Leads Project, which seeks to transform and improve suicide care practices, standards, and outcomes in service delivery systems throughout rural and urban counties in Northeast, Northwest, Central, and West Florida. For our last section, we'll discuss Florida Crisis Centers for Acute Care. First, emergency department units. If you or someone you know is suicidal, emergency departments can always assist and provide initial evaluation or care and help in finding specialized care and resources for suicidal individuals. Second, Grace Point. Specialized youth crisis units, such as Grace Point in the Hillsborough County, manage Baker Act cases and voluntary crisis inpatient cases who need a safe and supervised environment during a crisis. Third, Lakeland Regional Medical Center, which is equipped to handle suicidal individuals during moments of crisis. Centers like these restrict access to means of violence, manage medication needs, and offer psychotherapy in individual and group settings to help individuals manage their emotions through a stable environment. Additionally, the QR code in the corner leads to a comprehensive list of centers for the entire Florida states. The next two slides will feature the location and some phone numbers of local crisis centers in the state. Now, I want to give Ian Sway and everyone watching my sincere thanks for giving me some of your time. On this slide, you can find the contact information for Ian Sway and myself. Please reach out with any questions you have.